Welcome to this edition of Inside the Cubs on mycubs.com. I'm Jordan Bernfield. This week I had a chance to sit down with Oneri Fleita, the minor league director of the Chicago Cubs. We talked about all the different prospects around the Cubs minor league system and how much it means that Daytona and Tennessee continue to put up great winning records. I asked him about how important it is to develop a winning atmosphere and how some of the top prospects in the system are faring in 2011. Here's my conversation with Oneri Fleita. Oneri, first of all, looking at the way that your minor league system is shaped up, you've got some teams doing a lot of winning down there, and the way that Daytona is played, the way that Tennessee is played. I know that every organization talks about how you want to foster a winning atmosphere, but how important is it to see your guys in Daytona and Tennessee seemingly winning every day?
Well, Jordan, I think winning is huge. Anybody can learn how to lose, but I think it's important that you're playing winning baseball. And when I say that, your pitchers are throwing strikes, they're working fast, they're pitching to contact, your defensive guys are ready to catch every ball and know what they're going to do with the ball when the ball is hit to them. They're running the bases correctly. And that, to me, are the types of things that you want to see when you're playing winning baseball.
Talk about Brett Jackson for a moment, because a lot of fans are curious about him. Certainly when Marlon Byrd got hurt, a lot of people were thinking, when are we going to see him up here? Now, I know he battled a hand injury, but how's he doing right now? And when do you think we might be able to see him up on the north side?
Well, Brett's doing fine. You mentioned he had a hand injury. He's bounced back fine. I think he's a little bit out of it, lost his rhythm, probably is a good way to put it. But, he's getting at-bats. He's getting experience. And, his day will come. It isn't far away, but he's certainly a fun guy to watch. He runs the bases aggressively. He's got power. He's certainly a guy, I always say all the time, the type of guys that I personally would pay to watch play.
Talking about another first-round pick, Hayden Simpson goes to Peoria this year. Looks like he's had some ups and downs, but in there you've seen some really good starts from him.
Yeah, Jordan, your first year out, you usually see flashes. Their first season, you're really learning a routine. They're getting used to what it's like playing every day. I think the average fan sees the game that's played at 7 o'clock, and you don't see all the work that takes place leading up to the game. Most cases are there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're a National League team, so we've got to make sure we get our bunting in, learn a little bit about base running, fielding your position, and there are things that every player goes through their first season. And right now, at the end of the year, I said it many times, I want to make sure at the end of the season he's healthy, and more importantly that he has fun and loves baseball and understands what it takes to go and prepare yourself for a long season.
A lot of times people have talked about with the Cubs that we haven't seen a ton of speed on the major league team, and they're hoping that, at least fans are hoping, that the minor leagues can produce them. Certainly we've seen with Tony Campana, this guy is an unbelievable speed demon, but it looks like down there you've got Junior Lake who's stolen some bases, you've gotten some other guys, especially on Daytona, stealing some bases, and Matt Caesar looks like he's opening up some guys with some stolen bases.
Well, Jordan, when you talk about speed, it's great.
Yeah.
You can't teach it,
right,
and it never slumps,
right,
and you can't never have enough of it. Right. Timmy Wilkin and Paul Weaver and the scouting staff, they've done a tremendous job to give us guys with speed, but the guys you mentioned earlier, the Tony Campanas, the Junior Lakes, not only do they have speed, they know how to run the bases, which is most important, and our managers have been aggressive and they've let them run, so hopefully they'll learn what it takes to contribute to winning again, and they get here and they do just that.
Talk about your Iowa team for a moment. So many guys have moved up and come down, and come up and come down, and I think it's caused a little bit of inconsistency. Is there anything you have to tell the guys? Because certainly they want to be up here, but when they're constantly traveling back and forth, what's that adjustment like for them?
Well, I think first and foremost, the AAA manager, Bill Dancy, Mike Mason, Von Joshua, that's probably the toughest job in the game because every day your roster is constantly fluctuating. I think we've had to date probably well over 100 transactions, and it's hard to write a lineup and build any kind of consistency. But I think you know that. You understand that you're there to serve the Major League club, and everybody who's there, they know that their day could come any day, and they've got to consistently work to get on a run and be consistent. So when the phone rings, they put themselves in a position to come up here and contribute to winning.
Let's talk about a little power bat for a second. Justin Bohr, named an All-Star in the Florida State League. He's been crushing the ball. I know that he hits for some power last year, but are you at all surprised by how much he's flourished this season?
Not surprised at all because, Justin showed that he could hit. He's an on-base percentage guy. For a big man you don't see very often. He's a good defender. He's much more agile when you get a chance to watch him play on a daily basis. And usually in most hitters' cases, the power is the last thing to come. So hopefully he's on the verge of a guy who really has been a great surprise for the organization. You mentioned he went to the All-Star game. He won the Home Run Derby in the All-Star game, and looking forward to him having a great second half. The second half in the Florida State League is a huge challenge with the humidity and the weather in the Florida State League, but he's hit for power and hit to all fields, and a guy who's been a great surprise and very fun to watch this season.
A couple more things before I let you go. Two guys in Tennessee a lot of people are thinking about, Josh Vitters and Trey McNutt. Now, I know McNutt's been injured a little bit over the last month, but he pitched outstanding before that. And I know that Tennessee has really hit well, but it looks like Josh Vitters has had some struggles. How's he doing right now?
Well, Josh is back up to 290. For all his struggles, he seems like he's battled. Of late, he's had a lot of two-strike RBIs and a lot of two-strike hits. And that's usually the good that's a good sign, because he's starting to see more pitches. He's a very talented guy. He's got great hand-eye coordination, a guy that has a tendency to make contact with pitches anywhere. So what happens is, inadvertently, he chases pitches out of the strike zone, and when he puts them in play, he gets himself out. So as soon as he starts homing in the strike zone and command the strike zone, we'll continue to see the success we're seeing. And you can't forget, he'd probably still be a junior, senior in college, and he's in Double-A, and we're still very pleased with his progress. When you mentioned Trey McNutt, he's been bothered by a few injuries, had some blisters, had a collision with Josh Vitters a couple weeks ago, and had some ribs that were a little bit sore. But we're hoping that he'll come out of the spring, out of the All-Star break. He'll be our starting pitcher, and we'll let him finish up real strong and see where he goes looking into 2012.
Thank you very much for joining me, Oneri.
Jordan, anytime.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Inside the Cubs. Be sure to check out mycubs.com each and every day for all your Cubs needs.